What's up, guys? So I wanted to talk about finances. What I found is that, as Christians, we can, really get upset about our finances. And it could really draw you away from God, and it could really give you a bad attitude. And I've seen this happen to me, it's not just others, it's myself. When I notice that I start to worry about money, I notice that I just start to, you know, get angry easier and, not have any peace and have confusion. And all of that, is just not good. Now, I believe having money in this world can be a blessing. It's not necessarily a curse to have money because everything is kind of connected to money. But to stress yourself out where you're ready to blow your brains out, so to speak, because, you're just, so upset that you're not making enough money. Guys, there's a lot of things that are happening in this world. You could think like, oh, I'm just not smart enough, or I'm not, wise enough, or I just not working hard enough. Guys, that is a lie from the pit of hell. There are things that are happening that are preventing people from really getting the finances that we need, guys. When you think about, certain people holding most of the funding that comes from their company, with it goes into the CEO's bank account rather than the employees. Guys, that type of mindset is foreign to people, guys. I'm sure if I really spoke to someone about how entrepreneurs and CEOs are really stealing from their own companies, they wouldn't understand that, guys. They wouldn't understand that, anything is wrong with their business structure. The other thing is, we have systemic problems that are happening throughout our life and throughout the world that make it hard sometimes for people to focus on what they need to do in order to get, the things that they need. I think you have people in the world the homeless, they sort of give up on life and say, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about material things. And yet we sometimes look at the homeless and we're like, oh, they're just not smart. But Jesus points out that many of us can be homeless, even though we have things. We could be wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked because we just do not have the right mindset when it comes to the things of this world. And so, I don't know if there's I don't know if there is necessarily a formula for making more money or not, guys. And if you're letting money ruin your life because you feel like you don't have enough, I think you need to lay that at the altar, because there are things that are happening in this world that are beyond our control. I know I've worked hard, now may not be in a traditional sense, but I know I've gone through hard times enough where, I've said, I do deserve better, or I do deserve more than this. And guys, when I see a lack of provision, I know it's not always my fault. And what my point is, it's not always your fault or something that you're doing or not doing because of a lack of money. Guys, we have a God that is over us. He even says that we don't need to pray for everything because he knows what we need before we ask him. And so, yes, I may look at, having, five less dollars in my bank account because I want to buy something, on Amazon. But if I actually think about it, guys, I know that Jesus is supplying my need. Everything that I need, I feel like he has given me. You know, now when it comes to my wants, yeah, that I think is something that can make you upset because you're not just getting every little thing that you want. But our needs, guys, I have coffee right here. I got an iPad. I got a roof over my head. I got food in the bank, food in the not the bank, but food in the pantry. And I truly believe that every day is going to be like that. That Jesus is going to always supply our need. I take his words literally. Even though he wasn't necessarily talking about fruit or bread, when Jesus said, whoever comes after me will not hunger anymore, and whoever, follows after me would no longer thirst. I believe he meant both literally and physically that he will feed us and give us our daily bread, but also, he is going to, you know, give us our spiritual needs as well, where we need more peace or joy or love in our life. He's going to give us that. Guys, I'm 32. I know that, at this point, there's nothing that I've done right or wrong to have the financial situation that I have. I've tried, a lot of different ways. Now, maybe I haven't tried everything, and maybe I haven't always done things in the right way, but I know that my point is that this world is too hard sometimes, guys. It's not that you don't have the skills or the entrepreneurship or, the drive to be successful, guys, or to set your mind to do whatever you feel like you want to do. Guys, this world is just messed up, and you can let that make you bitter, or you can put your trust in Jesus Christ, put your trust in his words, and put your trust in the Father to say, okay, I'm not going to worry about this stuff like I once did. Now, you may have some days where you're like, okay, I need to get up and go to work. But I'm not going to run this rat race where I'm letting money control my happiness or my sadness, and letting money control how successful I feel in life. And so, what I want to do, guys, I want to offer a complete financial, business operation for free. Completely free, guys. Where someone who is homeless on the street can have educational videos to know how they should make it, guys. And I think all of it needs to be free. Because, it's just not right to charge people money for every little thing in this world. It's just not right, to charge money for that, especially when you get into helping people for an emergency. It's kind of like what people used to do, and as far as, doctors are concerned. I heard a rumor that there had been times where doctors will not treat you if you don't have the moolah. Now, guys, that should be illegal in every level. To say that you're not going to help someone in their time of need because they don't have the money, guys, that's immoral, and that's just wrong. That's a sin. I truly believe, because, you can't just say, you can't just not, you can't just refuse someone help, even when they don't have the money, guys. Now, there's difference between giving someone the help they need and then boosting them to another level. Yeah, maybe we should charge money, to have a roof over our head that is more luxurious. But guys, I think, especially from a government standpoint, the government should be supplying, especially from all the money that we give them. And I'm not bashing the government, guys, but I'm just saying there should be some basic necessities that come with life. You know, if you want a roof over your head, you should not have to pay a super big amount, especially you talk about people turning 18, 19 years old, guys. There's no system in place for people that young, and we're charging them as if they're working a full career, and we're charging them the same amount as someone who works as a manager or who has been working for years, and we're charging them the same amount for an apartment. Guys, that's not right, and you have many 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds who are struggling out there, and the system that we charge people is just not according to, logical systems when you actually think about it. Guys, you don't charge an 18-year-old, for a one-bedroom apartment the same that you would charge maybe a 42-year-old who is most likely further along in their career. And I believe there are just some basic necessities that the government should be supplying to people to highly reduce, the amount of problems that are at the basic level. We should never want to build cities that are just dirty, guys, because that affects everyone. The rich don't like driving by neighborhoods that are broke down, guys, and especially if they have to go there for something that they need, which maybe they don't have to, but there comes a time where you do have to cross paths with people. And we should always want, I love how God says the streets of heaven are made of gold. That means that if you're homeless, if you're the lowest of the low, you're going to be on streets of gold. You're not going to be on dirt. Like, you can literally, I believe that's just a representation of the whole kingdom of God. Is, guys, you can walk out of your door and you don't have to bring your wallet. You don't have to bring your keys. You will find everything you need. And I think that's how heaven's going to be like, like you don't have to necessarily have, $20,000 in your bank account, in your heavenly bank account, in order to have a good life. And so one thing that I feel like, people do wrong here is that, they start to really, when they get low on money, they start to charge people for everything, and especially for free things that should never, really cost you any money. Now, the caveat between this is that, we're all sinners. Guys, I try to remind people that we're not in the original place that God designed for us. Have you ever heard of a baby being born in prison? It's kind of like that, guys. Our human race, we were born in prison. Now, this is not, it's like jail. We were born in jail. This whole world, guys, I've been in some pretty low places, but even when you get out into the world and travel, you realize that there are just some systemic things that are not right, that this world is really a big jail cell. And so a lot of people don't realize that this world is not what it's supposed to be. They try to fix things that are made to be broken. There's things that are never going to change here, guys, because Adam and Eve fell, and their whole punishment was to, the whole human race has gone into sin. And so a lot of people don't realize that we are in a fallen world, and that you are on your journey to get out of this jail system, or you're going to be sent to prison, which is the lake of fire. And so I think it's always helpful to remember that whenever you're struggling and you feel like, why can't I figure this problem out? I feel like I know the answer, but yet it's getting so hard for me. Realize, guys, there are supernatural things that are happening that, it's not just your lack of knowledge or something. And it's also where we are, guys. Like, if you don't understand that God has been punishing the human race, and we don't like to use the word punishment, but before you come to Jesus, which everyone is born apart from salvation, guys. Even though sometimes in the Bible you see, that God called someone from their mother's womb or something like that. It doesn't matter. We're still all born in sin. Now, God knows, who's going to be saved and who's not, but this is the fallen world that we live in. And so what I think we need to do is just keep fighting the good fight of faith. I think we need to continue holding on to our biblical principles and biblical values, because God has given us the answer right now, to have peace in this life right now, to have joy in this life right now, guys. And there's no other way out. We're in the jail cell right now, and God's like, okay, you can either go to prison or you can be restored back to your original intent. And that's what we're going to be, when you put your faith in Jesus Christ, he restores us back to the original intent of human existence. And also, I believe he boosts us up even more, because we receive resurrection bodies, and, the future is going to be way better than the past, guys. I don't think we're going to have to say, way back in the past, that time frame that we're never going to go back to was the best times. The Bible says, don't say that. Don't ever say, like, if you read the book of Ecclesiastes, it says that, you don't want to talk about the former days being better than your future. You always want to look at the future, like, every day I go to sleep and wake up, it's getting better for me. And so, now, I would be concerned maybe at 42 and another 10 years, I was really struggling financially. But guys, you also have to realize that we're not given a whole bunch of time in this earth, guys. I mean, some of this stuff, it doesn't seem like God, I think he is changing it, but God has not necessarily changed the time frame that it takes to understand something. Now, like I said, AI is coming out, robotics are coming out, guys. But if people are not living longer and God did nothing to advance our mind, then, originally Adam and Eve and all the people before Genesis, they lived like 900 years, 800 years, 700 years. We're not told about their development of the brain, but let's assume that it remains constant, and God never did anything to change how fast we think about things. Then having 800 years on this earth, that's going to really, make you advance in different ways, guys. Like, you're going to have your finances figured out. You're going to have your career figured out. If you're 700, 600 years old, 400 years old, you're going to probably have your eternity figured out. You're going to probably have your viewpoints figured out in life. But guys, we're only given, people nowadays are living to 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old. If you're lucky, maybe you're going to live to 90 or 100. But guys, we're not given that much time. And my rate of intake of information and then application is not that, I have to read a whole, it takes like, I mean, think about it. There's so many books out there. It takes, some people can get through the Bible through a year. Now, technically, it could probably take you 3 days to get through the Bible if you just read nonstop without sleep or eating or something like that. But I would say you could probably read the Bible reasonably in about a week or 2 weeks. But guys, when you think about all the information that you have to take in, especially when you're trying to get your finances in order, you're trying to learn how to start a business or learn how to advance in your career, you're trying to be married, you're trying to raise kids. Guys, if we don't have the capacity to learn all that, then you shouldn't be so hard on yourself when you're not figuring things out as much as you want to, and you wonder what's wrong with your life. Guys, we're not given that much time. And what does that mean? That means I believe God doesn't want us necessarily to focus on those things right now. I think he wants us to focus on our relationship with Jesus Christ. That's the decision that people need to be making early on. If we only have 50, 60, 70, 80 years of our life to live, then do you really want to be spending your time, if it takes you, every time you want to read the whole Bible through, it takes you 2 weeks. Guys, you only have a limited amount of time to read the whole Bible in your lifetime. And especially if you haven't made that decision for Jesus and you're dragging your feet, I don't know if I want to start going to church. I don't know if I'm going to read my Bible. I don't know, this guy talked to me about Jesus, but I don't know if he's right. I don't know if I believe in God. And if you're dragging your feet on all your decisions that you're making, guys, it could take you a long time to get to where you need to be. And when you talk about throwing in overcoming sin, overcoming sin takes a while, guys. I mean, let's say you have, like you're Bill Gates or someone, and you have your finances in order. There are so many other aspects of life that I don't even know if Bill Gates even is aware of, guys. And, there are some pretty big mistakes that people are making in the short time of life that they have, guys. I mean, when you think about it, guys, if you come right out the door of the womb, you just born, and, if you only get 50 years, let's say at age 10, you start, acting out. Let's say at age 15, you're already sexually immoral and you're sleeping around. Let's say at age, 22 or 25, you've already been in and out of jail. You see the pattern of your life and you don't have many more years left. Guys, our time is precious, Now, I do think sometimes a lot can happen in just one day. There's a lot that our life is impacted in. And so I'm not going to spend my days worrying so much about money. Now, I'm going to take the classes, get the education and stuff. But guys, life is too short to sweat the small stuff. I love that saying because, I know it's not me. The problems that I've been having, it is me. But I know there's a greater thing happening, guys. And that, God is going to give us answers that we need when we need them. And so, especially, guys, if you've been praying about it, if you've been seeking your answers, seeking the face of God, if you've read some books on a particular topic and you're still struggling, you've gotten coaching, guys, I would just, really, just try to find peace in whatever you're dealing with, because, a lot of these problems of the world can really drag you down, guys. And I want to live in the abundance of life. I want to wake up each day and I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful to be alive. I don't want to wake up each day and I'm like, oh man, I got to figure out this problem. I got to figure out that problem. And each day you go to sleep with it on your mind, you wake up with it on your mind, maybe have a break here or there, but then you wake up with another problem. And no. And so give your life over to Jesus today, guys. Today is the day of salvation. I love how the Bible says all wisdom is found through Jesus. And so we don't have to wonder how we're going to do all of this, guys. Thankfully, God is a serving God. God is a gracious God where he wants to help us. And so I say, pray about it. I think in this case, prayer is very powerful. After you've done all you can do, the Bible says stand. And so, don't let a problem that you're having, stop you from living your life for Jesus, guys. Because at the end of the day, the list just is going to keep growing bigger of all the problems that is in this world, guys. And if we catch that trend, it's like, okay, what can I do now? And I'm going to live for Jesus. I think he's the real answer. God could have spent the whole time, a huge section in the Bible, writing about finances. God could have put a whole section in the Bible writing about marriage. But he chose to tell us about Jesus. And, that's what I'm going to focus on too. So, anyway, hopefully this was helpful to someone. And again, I think that I'm going to try to make as much free stuff as possible so that someone can have an easier journey, behind me. And, I want to offer this for free because this is really what the government should be doing, guys. If we want a better society, you got to educate people. And there's just no real education that's happening in this society, guys. People don't want education. We grow up despising education. So, guys, let's make it easier on each other. And let's beat the devil, We got to beat him, The guy's just out of control. So thanks so much. See ya.